He qualified 11th, climbed into the top 10, and for a few laps it looked like Cletus McFarland was on the verge of proving every doubter wrong. But one critical decision, one split-second misstep, changed everything. A brutal restart, a massive wreck, dozens of careers impacted, and once again, the racing world found itself asking, should influencers be allowed to compete at this level, or was this just part of the learning curve for a driver who might be better than people think? This is the full story of how Cletus McFarland turned the 2025 ARCA race at Charlotte into one of the most talked about motorsport moments of the year. Cletus McFarland, real name Garrett Mitchell, isn't a typical race car driver. He built his reputation online with wild burnout contests, jet-powered lawnmowers, and a massive YouTube audience that hangs on every rev of his engine. He's hosted massive car events, launched his own racetrack, and built a personal brand around speed, spectacle, and southern grit. But make no mistake, he's serious about racing. This wasn't his first ARCA Menard Series appearance, but it was his first attempt at taming a 1.5-mile intermediate oval Charlotte Motor Speedway. Unlike the superspeedways of Daytona or Talladega, Charlotte demands precision over raw nerve. The corners come quicker, tire wear is brutal, and one mistake can turn a promising night into a highlight reel for all the wrong reasons. On May 23rd, McFarland rolled into Charlotte for the 5th race of the season. While most fans tuned in to see if this viral star could keep up, Cletus had a different agenda. He came to prove he belongs. His qualifying run surprised many. P11 in a stacked field of up-and-coming NASCAR prospects and battle-tested veterans. It wasn't a pole run, but it was competitive. More importantly, it showed he had speed, car control, and enough confidence to run with the big boys. As the green flag dropped, McFarland got to work, picking off positions and moving steadily into the top 10. He wasn't just surviving, he was racing. But then came the caution, a turning point, not just for the race, but for the narrative that followed. Most teams dove into the pits for fresh tires, but McFarland and his crew rolled the dice. They stayed out. The goal, track position, the gamble, grip. That one call put him on the front row next to ARCA veteran Grant Enfinger, a man with more years behind the wheel than McFarland has had ARCA laps. It was a big moment. The cameras zoomed in, the fans held their breath, and as the field came back to green, it all unraveled. McFarland spun the tires. His rear wheels broke traction at the worst possible moment. In ARCA, and really in all stock car racing, restarts are sacred. The slightest error can cascade down the line, and that's exactly what happened. William Sawalich, trying to avoid contact, caught McFarland's rear bumper, sending him sideways into Isabella Robusto. Her car slammed into the wall at full speed, and what followed was pure carnage. A 10-car pileup, twisted sheet metal, shattered hopes, and in the middle of it all, a stunned and silent McFarland. The internet reacted immediately. Clips of the restart circulated across social platforms within minutes. Some fans defended him, arguing that everyone makes mistakes, especially drivers still learning the ropes. Others were far less forgiving. The criticism was sharp, swift, and in some corners, deeply personal. He's just a YouTuber. He doesn't belong out there. This is what happens when you put internet stars in real cars. But through the noise, one thing became clear. Everyone was watching. And how McFarland responded next would define more than just this race. To his credit, Cletus didn't run from the moment. In a post-race interview with Fox Sports, he offered a raw, unfiltered apology. "I want to start off by apologizing to the team that I took out," he said. "I think it was several cars, and I just feel terrible about that. Every time I go racing, I don't want to get taken out, and I've been there. I know how it feels. It sucks. I made a complete rookie maneuver on the restart. I zigged. I zagged. She was blowing my door off, and on the zag, I hit her and put her in the wall. I feel terrible." You could see it on his face. The regret, the weight of what had just happened. He banged his fists on the steering wheel. He hit his helmet in frustration. On the team radio, his voice cracked as he said, "I blew it." But here's where the story shifts. Despite the wreck, despite the damage to his car, despite being responsible for one of the biggest incidents of the season, Cletus didn't quit. He kept driving, lap after lap. With a bent-up machine and zero chance of a podium, he clawed his way through the field and crossed the finish line in 9th place. It was his best ARCA finish to date, and while the headlines focused on the wreck, there was something undeniably impressive about the way he kept going. That wasn't content creator energy, that was racer energy. Meanwhile, another name etched itself into ARCA's rising star list: Austin Green. In just his second ARCA start, Green dominated the night, leading 52 laps and securing his first career win. Driving the number 82 for Pinnacle Racing Group, Green held off veteran challengers and showed poise well beyond his experience level. But even in victory, Green's story was overshadowed. The drama around McFarland had hijacked the night's narrative, and for better or worse, it was his name dominating the post-race discourse. So the question now is bigger than one wreck or one finish. Should influencers like Cletus McFarland be competing at this level of motorsport? His fans argue that he brings attention, sponsors, and a massive new audience to a series that rarely cracks the mainstream. His YouTube videos regularly outperform national ARCA broadcasts. Every time he shows up to a track, tens of thousands of new eyes follow the series. That's not just good for business, it's good for the future of racing. But critics push back. They say seat time should be earned, not bought. That popularity doesn't equal racecraft. And that when things go wrong, as they did in Charlotte, it's not just one person paying the price. It's the veterans, the rookies, the crew members who spend weeks preparing cars only to see them destroyed in seconds. To them, Charlotte wasn't just a teachable moment. It was proof that fame without foundation is dangerous on a racetrack. Yet even many of his detractors admit this much. Cletus handled the aftermath like a pro. He didn't make excuses. He didn't blame others. He faced the music, owned the mistake, and vowed to improve. And that mindset, that humility. It's rare in a sport where egos often outrun engines. He's learning under a microscope with millions of people watching every lap, every pit decision, every interview. And somehow, instead of folding under that pressure, he's finding a way to improve. The 2025 General Tire 150 might go down as one of the most chaotic races in recent RCA history. But for Cletus McFarland, it may also be the beginning of something real. He didn't leave with a trophy. He didn't leave with a clean highlight reel, but he did leave with something that matters in racing: respect. And that, combined with his willingness to grow, might be the foundation for a long and legitimate career. The story isn't over. In fact, it might just be getting started. Will McFarland rise from controversy to consistency? Can he silence the critics not with apologies, but with performance? The next few races will tell the story. Because now every decision he makes will be magnified, every finish will be measured, and every driver around him, they'll be watching closely. So what do you think? Was Charlotte a rookie mistake, or a glimpse of a rising competitor finding his footing in the fire? Is McFarland the real deal, or a well-packaged storyline with horsepower? Let us know in the comments. Hit like if you want more deep dive race breakdowns like this one, and don't forget to subscribe, because if Cletus McFarland's racing career is just beginning, you'll want to be there for every second of it.